friends, hope you're all doing fine. So this is our third session in economics. As I have already told you, microeconomics deals with individual or small economic units, and the first category among them is the consumer. Now let us begin our discussion on consumer behavior.
In this and the next two sessions, we will be discussing about consumer equilibrium. First of all, who is the consumer? A consumer is defined as a person who buys or purchases goods and services to satisfy wants or desires. Now, what is the aim of the consumer? What does the consumer want? The consumer wants to maximize his or her satisfaction upon spending his or her income on goods and services. That is, the consumer spending his or her earned money on goods and services. And in order to have a return for the money spent, the consumer will need maximum satisfaction from whatever he or she consumes. Now, what is equilibrium? Equilibrium is literally it is a state of rest from which a body does not intend to move or divert. In our case, a consumer is said to be in equilibrium when he or she feels that she has maximized her or his satisfaction with the income or the budget. Equilibrium analysis now can be done in two methods. First is the cardinal utility approach, which was given by Alfred Marshall, and the next is the indifference curve approach or the ordinal utility approach, which was given by J.R. Hicks and R.J.D. Allen. Now we are coming to the main term. What is utility? Utility is basically the want satisfying power of the commodity. Okay, but please don't misunderstand that it is the anticipated satisfaction. No, it is the realized satisfaction which a consumer derives upon consuming a good. Okay, it is measured in utils. The standard unit of measurement is utils. See, you might be knowing that utility can't be measured. Can you tell me how much units of satisfaction you derive from a consumption? Naturally, you can't. However, Marshall assumed that utility can be measured and he gave the standard unit utils. Okay. Now, utility can be of two types, total utility and marginal utility. If you are consuming n units of a good, okay, the total utility you derive from that all the n units together is called total utility. Marginal utility is the addition to total utility when one more unit of a commodity is consumed. If you consume four goods and when you are consuming the fifth good, the utility you derive from the fifth good is the marginal utility of that fifth good. So there is a relationship between these two. Total utility is the sum total of all marginal utilities. See, if you get two utils from the first unit and you get one util from the second unit, totally you will be getting three utils for consuming two units of the good. Now, marginal utility is given by TUN minus TUN minus 1. See, if you are consuming 5 goods and you derive a total utility of 20 units, and you consume 4 goods and you derive a total utility of 16 utils. Now the marginal utility of the fifth unit will be 4 utils. It can also be given by change in total utility divided by change in quantity consumed. Now let's talk about the assumptions of this approach. First of all, consumers' money income is fixed. Then the prices of goods is also fixed. Then, as all have already said, utility can be measured in terms of utils. Then the marginal utility of money is constant. Okay, this is a highly implicative assumption because we are discussing a law that is related here. How many ever rupees you spent, the marginal utility you derive from each rupee will be same. This is one assumption. Now we are coming to the next part, the law of diminishing marginal utility. What is this law? This law states that as a consumer consumes more and more units of a homogeneous commodity, the utility derived from each successive consumption goes on diminishing. But there is one exception to this: money. As already said, money has constant marginal utility.
Now let us take an example. Say you are thirsty and you want to go to a shop to have something to drink. Now, to be specific, let's say you are very thirsty, you have been running in the sun for a while and you are panting for breath. Now you are going to a shop and you find that they have cool drinks. There are many, the number of cool drinks they have is so much. But there is one thing, all the cool drinks are homogeneous and they are identical in every aspect. They are made by the same company, same quantity, same product, same manufacturing date, same price, and everything is same. Okay, same quantity, everything is same. So now you are panting and you go and ask the shop, sir, please give me one cool drink, please. And the shopkeeper gives you and you drink. And how do you feel? Wow, so good, nice. Then you ask, sir, one more. And the shopkeeper gives you. And you drink again. But the second time when you drink, do you feel the same satisfaction? No, I don't think. At least a small decrease in the satisfaction would have come in that. Then again, but still you are thirsty and you ask again, sir, one more. Then you drink and again you feel even lesser level of satisfaction. So then you go on and go on and go on. When you go on, keep on drinking, obviously a stage will come when you will tell, sir, just one more, sir. Okay. And you give and you drink and you feel okay. You feel bored of drinking again. So then if the shopkeeper asks you, sir, do you want one more? Then you, no, sir, I'm sorry. Please tell me how much it costs. So this is what the law of diminishing marginal utility states. That it will eventually, you will reach that stage. And also each time when you drink consequently without a gap, the marginal utility or the satisfaction you derive from each successive consumption will go on diminishing.
Now let us discuss the assumptions of the law of diminishing marginal utility. First, standard unit of measurement. See, the most important point here is that the unit should be appropriate. It will not be appropriate if you measure rice in milligrams. So the unit should be appropriate. Then homogeneous commodities. All units of the commodity taken into study should be identical in all aspects like properties, quantity, price, and so on. Then the assumption of continuous consumption. This implies that there should be no time lag between two successive consumption. If you are consuming a good one unit of a good today and you are consuming other unit tomorrow and you are consuming the third unit next week, it will not be appropriate. So there should be continuous consumption. Okay. Then the mental and social state of the consumer should be normal. You can make a valuable or objective judgment only if your mental state is normal and you are at peace. Then we are coming to the equilibrium condition in a case of one commodity. Let's say you are consuming only one commodity X and its price is Px. The equilibrium condition states that MUX should be equal to Px. Now if marginal utility is greater than price, you are getting more than one util for each rupee spent. So you will have an intention or initiative to increase your consumption. And by the law of diminishing marginal utility, your marginal utility will come down and re-establish equilibrium. Say now MUX is less than PX, you will lose the desire to consume. You will not have the intention to consume till then, because you are not getting as much utility as you have spent money. So you will reduce your consumption and the marginal utility will increase and re-establish equilibrium. Now we are coming to another law, the law of equimarginal utility. This law states that a consumer will allocate his or her expenditure in such a manner that the utility gained from the last rupee spent on each commodity is same. Let's say you are consuming three goods, X1, X2 and X3. Then MUX1 by PX1 should be equal to MUX2 by PX2 should be equal to MUX3 by PX3. Okay, this should be equal to the marginal utility of money. Now we are discussing the equilibrium condition for two commodities. First order conditions means the main condition is that it has two parts. First part is that the law of equimarginal utility. Let's say you are consuming two goods x and y, then mu x by px should be equal to mu y by py, which is equal to mu of money. Then the second condition is that the budget, the price of a good x into its quantity purchased plus the price of good y into its quantity purchased should be equal to your money income. Say you are earning rupees 20 and if you are spending only rupees 16, then there is a high chance that you can still maximize your utility by consuming or the spending the remaining 4 rupees. So this approach assumes that you are spending your entire income on the two goods. Then the second order condition is that the law of diminishing marginal utility should apply. Now, if it is possible that the law of diminishing marginal utility does not apply, then marginal utility can increase beyond the equilibrium point. Then the possibility will be high that you can still maximize your satisfaction beyond the equilibrium point. So marginal utility should fall after the equilibrium point, which is given by the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now let us summarize. What have we learned? First we discussed the concept of consumer, then we concept of equilibrium, utility, total utility and marginal utility. Then we came to the approach. What is this approach and its assumption? Basically there are four assumptions. The price of goods is constant, your money income is constant, then there is constant marginal utility of money, and most importantly utility can be cardinally measured. Then we came to the law of diminishing marginal utility and we discussed its assumptions. What are they? Standard unit of measurement, homogeneous products, continuous consumption, normal mental and social state of the consumer. Then we came to the equilibrium condition based on single commodity and multiple commodities. Basically there are three laws. The first is the law of equimarginal utility, then second the budget constraint, and then the law of diminishing marginal utility. These together determine the level of equilibrium for how many ever commodities you consume. So we have come to the end of this session. In the next session we will be continuing our discussion in consumers equilibrium. Till then, stay safe. Thank you.